Hey there, good morning and happy Tuesday, Spartan Nation. Welcome to what I'm calling Story Time with JV. I picked up this book. Many of you remember, I don't think I have it in here. I have it in my other bookshelf. Many of you remember that earlier this year, Abby Wambach released her book, Wolfpack. And just this week, she released this book, which is specifically for young people. So whereas her original book was geared really more towards women, this is also towards women, but also young people. And it's a great book to give to your children. And I want to read some pieces of it to you because it's been a while since we visited this book. It's been a while since we visited Wolfpack, and the lessons are so important. They're so pertinent. They're so crucial to right now. They're so relevant to what's happening right now that I want to get back to looking at this book. And I thought, when I saw that this book released, I'm like, well, this is the universe telling me that it's time to get back to this. And she's been on several podcasts and been talking about this book. And if you haven't listened to her speak, I highly recommend that you get in there and listen to her speak. So let's dive in. This is called Wolfpack, Abby Wambach. And I've got some pieces I'm going to read to you. And I want you to really take it in. And while you're listening to it, think about how it actually applies to you. Welcome to the Wolfpack. Imagine that you've been asked to give a graduation speech at one of the premier colleges in the nation. You've got 15 minutes to stand behind a podium in a fancy robe and tell hundreds of brilliant young people everything you know about what makes a good life, what makes a beautiful world, and how to build both. Would it make you stop and think hard about what you believe? Would it make you feel overwhelmed and underqualified? Might it even lead you to sweat all over and wonder if a person who hadn't even graduated from college should really give a graduation speech? Well, maybe that last worry was uniquely mine. A few years ago, I was asked to deliver a speech at Radio City Music Hall in New York City to the 126th graduating class of Barnard College, a women's liberal arts college in Manhattan. The invitation said, by the way, I miss New York so much. The invitation said, "We are awed by your talents on the field. We are also moved by your commitment to issues like gender equality, pay inequity, and gay rights. Our seniors would be thrilled to have you address them at this watershed moment in their lives." I sat on my couch, read these words twice, and then grabbed my phone and Googled watershed moment. FYI, it means turning point or historic moment. And then I thought, okay. And when I read that yesterday, because I read this book yesterday, this watershed moment and this idea of a watershed moment, I thought, well, that's kind of what we're in right now, isn't it, in 2020? We are in a watershed moment, this turning point, this historic moment. We're in this, and we get to decide what we're going to do with it. We also get to decide 5 years from now what we're going to look back on 2020 and think about how we handled it, how we navigated it, what we did with it. Because all of the negativity, all of the stuff around it can also be positive if we decide to make it a watershed moment. So again, this is from Abby Wambach's new book, Wolfpack, for young people, which also can be applicable to us. So it's kind of like a second edition of her previous book, Wolfpack. So then I thought, okay, well, they don't want me to speak just as an athlete. They want me to speak as an activist and leader at one of the most important moments in their lives. No pressure. The invitation went on to say former Barnard speakers have included Barack Obama, Hillary Clinton, and Meryl Streep. No big deal, I thought. Only a former U.S. president, the first woman in American history to win the popular vote for the presidency, and the most accomplished actor of all time. More sweat. For the last few years, I had been traveling and speaking to people all over the world as a famous athlete. I spoke about my personal life, my time on the field, and how to win championships. I was a decorated soccer champion. I'd scored more international goals than any woman or man in history. I'd won 2 Olympic gold medals and a FIFA World Cup championship. That stuff was cool, but since I was a kid, what I loved most about soccer was being a teammate and a leader. Now, before I go on, I want you to consider how she feels doing this commencement speech. She is comparing herself already to Barack Obama, Hillary Clinton, and Meryl Streep. Like, can you even imagine? And doing this graduation speech. And that is no different, because everything's relative. That's no different than if I send you a message that says, hey, I want you to run the power hour for XYZ, or hey, I want you to speak in the Coach 411 group, or hey, why don't you do a live in the team page? Like, none of that is any different. Immediately you start comparing yourself to someone else when actually Barnard College in New York City was asking Abby Wambach to speak. They may have had some other speakers in the past, but they were actually asking her. They wanted her to come share her experiences. So consider that the next time you get an invitation and you're deciding whether you should say yes or no, the person who's asking you wants you to do it. They don't really care who else has done it in the past. They're asking you. I loved winning and losing as one team. I loved being a part of something bigger than myself. I loved the shared joy, suffering, failure, and success. I loved the magic of collectively surrendering to an unknown outcome. I loved the closeness of our team dinners, bus rides, and stinky locker rooms. I loved how my teammates and I cared for each other, fought for each other, respected each other no matter what. What I loved most about soccer was being a teammate to women and a leader of women. As co-captain of the United States women's national soccer team, I was charged with uniting 23 women, each of whom had achieved success because of her individual talent, and inspiring each to commit to the group, the collective. Do you see how this is exactly what we do every day? With the help of my teammates, I created a team culture based on more than just excellence. We not only won, but we won with joy and honor and connectedness and commitment and sisterhood. We were not only champions on the field, we were champions of each other, which at the end of the day is far more important. Our time on the U.S. women's national team turned us into more than just winners. We turned each other into better friends, citizens, and human beings. That's the point of what we do. It's awesome if you lose weight. It's awesome if you build a business. What's more awesome is if you become a better human because of all of this. When I retired, I missed my team and the unique connection that is forged among a group of people working towards a common goal. That as I sat and looked at that invitation, I had this thought. What if my time on the national team was just practice for a bigger game? What if I could find a way to translate our team's culture to more people? What if I could inspire a broader team off the field? The Barnard women would enter Radio City Music Hall as college students, leave as adults. What if I entered as Abby, a leader on the soccer field, and left as Abby, a leader in the world? I was scared, but I said yes to Barnard anyway. I said yes for those women, but also for myself. The Barnard women weren't the only ones stepping off into an unknown future, reinventing themselves and trying to find their way in the world. I was right there with them. This speech would be a watershed moment for me too. First, so I had to actually write the darn thing. There's a moment in every soccer game when I feel the energy shift toward me. Whether it was a morale boost, a momentum swing, or a goal that we needed, it was my job to make it happen. When I felt that shift, I'd silently say to myself, let's go, Abby, it's your time. And as I sat down to prepare my speech, that's what I told myself. I needed this rally cry too. Giving a speech to young people at this moment in our world's history felt sacred and daunting. We were at a crossroads. I wanted to believe I could make a difference, and I wanted to believe I could help these graduates believe they could make a difference. That's how I feel every single day. That's probably how you feel every single day too. You want to make a difference, and you want your team to feel like they can make a difference too. This is no different. Everything is relative. Because I knew then, as I know now, that women in this world, young people in this world, are the world's great hope. I also knew that this would be a heavy message for some of them to hear. They would know how much I'm asking of them. Saving the world is a big challenge to accept. It might have seemed impossible even, but I don't believe in impossible, because the lesson of my life has been a group of passionate people who unite for a larger goal can achieve the impossible again and again. Let me read that again, and I want you to soak that in. A group of passionate people who unite for a larger goal can achieve the impossible again and again. Soak that in. You are part of a group of passionate people. We work to unite every single day towards a larger goal. And when we truly come together and we're rowing in the same direction, those oars are moving in the same direction, there's nothing we can't achieve. It's getting everyone to unite and be in the boat and do the work. And when we're doing that, there's nothing we can't achieve. As I focused on what I wanted to share with the women of Barnard, a directive to unleash their individuality, unite the collective, and change the world, my thoughts turned to a TED Talk I'd watched recently about the wolves of Yellowstone National Park. In 1995, wolves were reintroduced into Yellowstone after being absent for 70 years. There was a controversial decision, but rangers decided it was a risk worth taking because the land was in trouble. During those 70 years, the number of deer skyrocketed because they were alone and unchallenged at the top of the food chain. They grazed unchecked and reduced the plant life so severely that the riverbanks eroded. Once a small number of wolves arrived, big changes started happening almost immediately. First, they thinned out the deer through hunting. But more important, the presence of the wolves drastically changed the behavior of the remaining deer. Wisely, the deer started avoiding the places they'd been most vulnerable to the wolves, the valleys, and the vegetation in those places grew back. The trees grew 5 times higher in just 6 years. Birds and beavers started moving in. The beavers built river dams, which provided habitats for otters and ducks and fish. Ravens and bald eagles returned to eat the carrion, the meat and bones left over by the wolves. Bears came back because berries started growing again. But that wasn't all. The rivers actually changed as well. The plant regrowth stabilized the riverbanks so they stopped collapsing. The rivers flowed freely again. In short, the plant ecosystem grew back. The animal ecosystem grew back. The entire landscape changed, all because of the wolves' presence. All because of the wolves' presence. You see what happened there? The wolves, who were feared by many to be a threat to the system, became the system's salvation. Maybe you, just like the wolves, will become the world's salvation. Maybe you are the ones that we've been waiting for. Maybe you are the wolf. When I'm reading this, when you're reading a book, are you thinking about how it's applying to you? Are you thinking about are you reading the words? Or when she's saying, the plant ecosystem grew back, the animal ecosystem grew back, the entire landscape changed, all because of the wolves' presence, are you thinking, wow, what if I am the wolf? And my challenge group changes, and my team changes, and my business changes, and my family changes, and my life changes because I'm in it doing the work, because I'm there. Because instead of sitting on the sidelines, I came back. I got back in the game. Could I make a change? Could my family's life change? Could my life change? It did, right here in Yellowstone National Park when the wolves came back. What if you are the wolf and you come back? Like most children who grew up when I did, I was taught to keep my head down, stay on the path, and get the job done. I was Little Red Riding Hood. You know the fairy tale. It's just one version of stories kids are told the world over. Little Red Riding Hood heads off through the woods, having been given strict instructions. Stay on the path. Don't talk to anybody. Keep your head down and hidden beneath your protective red cape. Women, you hear this all the time. And she follows the rules at first, but then she dares to get a little curious and she ventures off the path. That's, of course, when she encounters the big bad wolf and the tale takes a sharp turn for the worse. The message of these stories is clear. Follow the rules. Don't be curious. Don't say too much and don't expect more. Have you felt that your entire life? Likely yes. Likely yes. I know that when I ventured off the path of being a high school English teacher into fitness, my mom thought I had gone to crazy town. That's not what we do. That's off the path. Follow the rule. Get back over here on the path. Why? Who gets to decide the path? Who gets to make the rules? When I look into the world as well as back in my life, it became clear to me that those stories aren't true. Every good thing that has come to me and to the people I respect has happened when we ventured off the path. I began to dream of becoming a professional soccer player. The problem was that women's professional soccer was so new and so overlooked that I didn't even know it existed. So I'd watch the U.S. men's national team play and think, I could do that. I want to do that. The question of my 20s was, why can't I become what I want to become? Little did I know that behind the scenes, women were creating the opportunities that I would one day seize and build my career upon. Let me read that again. Listen to that. Little did I know that behind the scenes, women were creating the opportunities I would one day seize and build my career upon. What do you think's been happening for the past 20 years in Team Beachbody? Coaches have been seizing opportunities and blazing new trails. So as you come in, you see that, and there's no possible way that you can look at this business in 2020 and go, oh, I don't know if I can make it happen. Because for the past 20 years, just like in soccer for Abby, for the past 20 years in Team Beachbody, coaches have been blazing trails for you now in 2020 to go down the path and then make your own and blaze a trail for somebody else. Coaches have been doing that. So you can't say, well, gosh, I don't know if this business works, because we know it does. People have been blazing trails. Women were fighting for Title IX, a law that bars discrimination against women so that schools must spend as much money on women's sports as they do on men's. Women were building professional women's leagues, demanding a livable wage for the emerging women's national soccer team. They even went on strike, refusing to work until they got paid better. By the time I left college, women I'd never met had begun to clear the path I would walk. Do you know that's happened in this network, in this business, on this team? Women we have never met, women you have never met, cleared the path for you to be here now. Because women who came in before me were clearing the path for me. And that's why you're here now. Don't take that lightly. Just like Jamie Fitzpatrick said yesterday on the National Wake Up Call. Respect that. Respect that, and then walk that path and make your own for someone who's coming behind you, wondering if they can do it too. The way forward was suddenly wider. It held more options and fewer dangers. These women did not hide under a cape and keep to the trail. In fact, there had been no path for them. So they made a new one. They laid that new path, brick by brick, for generations of women to follow. There was no path for me when I started this business in Indiana. Zero. I'd never seen it growing up. No one was doing that here. So I just made the trail, brick by brick, for all the coaches that will follow from now until whenever. These women created things for me I didn't even know I needed. They spent their lives and careers building something that many of them knew they'd never get to take advantage of, but they did it anyway. For a long time, I stayed on the path out of fear, not of being eaten by a wolf, but of not being accepted or loved, of getting cut from the team or benched, of not being able to play the game at the highest level. Little by little, I started to recognize the collective effort of all the leaders that came before me. And little by little, I discovered a truth about myself. If I could go back and tell my younger self one thing, it would be this. Abby, you were never Little Red Riding Hood. You were always the wolf. There is a wolf inside you. Your wolf is who you were made to be before the world told you who to be. Your wolf is your talent, your power, your dreams, your voice, your curiosity, your courage, your dignity, your choices, your truest identity. Wear what you want. Love who you love. Become what you imagine. Create what you need. You were never Little Red Riding Hood. You were always the wolf. Chapter 1 of the Wolfpack. Take that today. And if you need to listen to it again, if you need to do some more thinking on that today, I encourage you to get the Audible version and listen to Abby read it. And I encourage you to do some thinking on that today. There are women that have come before you, that came before me, that have blazed a trail for us. As Jamie said yesterday on the National Wake Up Call, this is a business to be respected because the potential is so unlimited. It is so unlimited. It starts with these tiny, simple actions. Getting up, pressing play with your team at 6 a.m., drinking your shake, reading a book, and inviting people to join us. And the inviting piece, that's just as crucial. You know, when you think about jobs and other jobs, and you think about, I often use my hairdresser, Travis. You know, he has a ton of skills, but one of his skills is cutting hair. That's his job. So one of our skills is inviting. That's our job. That's one of the pieces of our job. And he doesn't go to his salon and do everything else, like sweep the floors and arrange the shelves and mix up color, but then, oh God, cutting hair just makes me nervous. I just don't want to do that. And then not cut hair, but that's his job. That's what inviting is. We get to take care of our job is we get to take care of ourselves, and we get to invite others to join us. We take care of us and we invite others to join us. So that the two go together. So the taking care of us, we press play, we do our program, we drink our shake, we read our book, we follow our nutrition plan, we stay connected with our group, we do all those things that take care of our mental health. But on the other side of it is we invite others to join us. That's part of our job. So Travis can't go to work and mix up color and mess around on the shelves and straighten out the bottles of shampoo and conditioner and talk to his employees and then not cut hair. Like, it all goes together. That's his job. Inviting is our job. And if, as Jamie said yesterday, which again, I encourage you to go back and watch that, because if anyone has an appreciation for where he is in life and the opportunity that he has right now, that we all should be aware of, it's him. So go back and listen to that if you haven't had a chance to. Inviting is part of our job. And so what you have to understand is you are the wolf. You are the person someone's waiting for. You need to get off the path that maybe other people have set for you that isn't even your path, because you've got this other path over here, which is far greater and far more important, will leave a far bigger impact, will create far more income, will leave your legacy, will help you be legendary in your way. This is your path over here. You got to get off the path that someone else told you were supposed to be on and get on the path that you're supposed to be on. You're the wolf. Someone's waiting on you. And if you don't do your job, their life is the poorer for it. And when I ask you the question, what would your life be without Beachbody? Most of you will say, I can't imagine. And especially this year, I can't imagine what my life would be without. But someone out there is living their life without it. So today, this Tuesday, November 17th, I encourage you. Let's do our job today, shall we? Let's be the wolf. Let's accept that we have a different path. Let's embrace that path. Let's machete chop down some of the vegetation in that path for the others who will follow us. And let's do our job, because someone out there is waiting on you. Have a great day.